The clock is ticking as the pandemic-era rule known as Title 42 is set to expire in a matter of hours. The Border Patrol chief telling CBS News tonight 60,000 migrants are waiting near the U.S.-Mexico border in hopes of seeking asylum once the deadline passes. U.S. Customs and Border Protection say they are beyond capacity from California to Texas and are currently holding around 25,000 migrants at its facilities. And we've just learned from an administration official that thousands of migrants were expelled today, some flown out of the U.S.
De esta manera, corriendo, cargando a sus hijos, bolsas de ropa, maletas, van corriendo rumbo a la joroba del puente, donde se encuentra ya el antimotines del CBP esperándolos. Familias, niños, algunos jóvenes acaban de ingresar de manera ilegal al puente Santa Fe de esta manera. Son cientos de migrantes los cuales desde hace aproximadamente una hora exigían ingresar a los Estados Unidos. Esto luego de que en redes sociales se anunciara que el día de hoy los dejarían ingresar a todos a la vecina ciudad de El Paso, Texas. Se quejaban de la aplicación que no funcionaba y tras varios minutos de estar en disturbios con la Guardia Nacional en el puente, pues acaban de ingresar de manera masiva, como lo están haciendo de esta manera.
What is Title 42? A controversial policy restricting migrants from the U.S.'s southern border for the past 3 years will end on May 11th. Under the rule, border officials could immediately send migrants back to their home countries or to Mexico for public health reasons, even if they were seeking asylum. Asylum is protection from unsafe conditions in a person's home country. Before Title 42, asylum seekers were allowed to stay in the United States so that they wouldn't be returned to dangerous situations. Title 42 was implemented in March 2020 in response to the pandemic. Unlike many COVID-era restrictions, it has remained in place. On May 11th, it will finally end, meaning that most asylum seekers will be allowed to enter the U.S. for the first time since 2020. Officials predict that the end of Title 42 will result in an increase in immigration, as many countries in South and Central America and the Caribbean are experiencing political instability. Title 42 has been used more than 2.8 million times to expel migrants.
Points all across the southern U.S. border. Migrant men, women, and children can be seen arriving as Title 42 expires.
Bring it this way.
About 400 have camped near the border in El Paso, Texas, where National Guard members erected barbed wire. Migrants there were given a choice: return to Mexico or board buses to processing centers.
But we're going to prevent any further migrants from joining the group that's already here.
In San Ysidro, California, the busiest port of entry in the U.S., hundreds of people, including toddlers, braved rain and heat using blankets. Border Patrol estimates about 60,000 migrants are waiting in northern Mexico, while some 25,000 sit in holding facilities where resources are severely limited. Border Patrol Chief Raul Ortiz says authorities will now lean on protocols outlined by the decades-old Title 8, under which migrants can be deported from the United States back to their home countries and given a 5-year ban on re-entry unless they express fear of returning and pass an interview. And Republicans are efforting last-minute legislation, with the House passing a border security bill yesterday. But the Democratic Senate majority calls it dead on arrival.
The White House produced no plan, missed the deadline, and bumbled into another crisis.
Brothers and sisters crossing the southern border right now, do not fucking come, bro. I don't know what the fuck y'all been watching, but they are trafficking your children. They are separating you from your fucking families. It is not okay in America to come over. Do not fucking come over here. You will be separated from your family. You will be put in debt bondage. You will have a fucking hard time over here. But as usual, don't believe me. Believe somebody smarter than me.
As part of Operation Artemis, I was deployed to the Pomona Fairplex emergency intake site. I thought I was going to help place children in loving homes. Instead, I discovered that children are being trafficked through a sophisticated network that begins with recruiting in home country, smuggling to the U.S. border, and ends when ORR delivers a child to a sponsor. Some sponsors are criminals and traffickers and members of transnational criminal organizations. Some sponsors view children as commodities and assets to be used for earning income. This is why we are witnessing an explosion of labor trafficking. So I want to tell you some of what I witnessed personally at the Pomona Fairplex. I saw vulnerable indigenous children from Guatemala who speak Mayan dialects and cannot speak Spanish. Spanish. That means they cannot ask for help in English. They cannot ask for help in Spanish. They become captives of their sponsors. I saw sponsors trying to simultaneously sponsor children from multiple ORR sites at one time. I saw sponsors using multiple addresses to obtain sponsorships of children. And I saw numerous cases of children in debt bondage, and the child knew they had to stay with the sponsor until the debt was paid. Realizing that we were not offering the children the American dream, but instead putting them in modern-day slavery with wicked overlords, was a terrible revelation. A terrible revelation.
For all my brothers.
What are these wristbands?
I don't know what they are.
You don't know what they are. Mr. Secretary, you have just testified to the American people you're incompetent at your job. Because I've been to the southern border, and if you go to the southern border, along the southern border, you see thousands of these wristbands. Because the illegal immigrants wear them. The drug cartels, every color corresponds to how many thousands of dollars they owe the cartels. You have turned these cartels into multi-billion-dollar criminal organizations, and these are modern-day leg irons. Because these are children being sold into sex slavery, and you don't even know what they are. That is astonishing. Mr. Secretary, how many children have been sold into sex slavery under your administration?
Senator, we are taking it to the cartel.
How many children have been sold into sex slavery? Do you know how many children have been sold into sex slavery?
An unprecedented degree.
Mr. Secretary, I want to say to you right now, your behavior is disgraceful, and the deaths, the children assaulted, the children raped, they are at your feet, and if you had integrity, you would resign. And I will tell you, the men and women of the Border Patrol, they've never had a political leader undermine them. They despise you, Mr. Secretary, because you're willing to let children be raped to follow political orders. This is a crisis, it's a disgrace, and you won't even admit this human tragedy is a crisis.
Claiming 1 minute chairman time, Mr. Secretary, would you like to respond to any of those questions?
What the senator said was revolting. I'm not going to address it.
Under the Biden presidency, the agency cannot find 85,000 children, and that the agency lost contact with a third of the migrant children.
Hey, so you see what's going on with the so-called Mexicans trying to come over under Title 42. It's a tragedy, really, for them, not for America. But we're going to start with our first scripture. Let me rewind a little bit, and we're going to get Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 5. Yeah, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man. You should know this talking about Esau, the so-called white man, neither keepeth at home, meaning he in everybody else's country, all up in their business, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death. So if death was a human, was a character, death would be the so-called white man, you know, for many reasons, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and he bringeth unto him all people. So yeah, this is what Esau, the so-called white man, is doing. Oh, I jumped the gun. Let me give all praise, honor, and glory to YAHAWASHI, YAHAWASHI, YAHAWASHI. That would be giving all praises to the Most High Yahweh in the name of His only begotten Son, YAHAWASHI, and the Holy Spirit, for this Rakakwadash. Double honor to the elders and apostles who taught us His truth through the Holy Spirit. Honor to the brethren that's laboring doing the work to push the gospel. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect, the 1/3 of our people, the children of Israel, the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, and Seminole Indians, who sincerely return back to the Most High Yahweh through His Son YAHAWASHI, so that He will have mercy on us in judgment. So, Title 42 is a tactic to gather all nations, to heap unto Him all people, because Esau, he got all these foreigners, Middle Easterns, East Indians, Chinese, Koreans, Japanese, coming over here to help build up America. You know, he called all these scholars, scientists, physicians, physicists, and chemists all over the world to come to America to help build this place up. But it's a darker side to that. Esau also gathered all kind of immigrants and illegal people to do what? To experiment on them, to turn them into ground beef, to sell them into women and child sex trafficking, because you know America is a corporation. And there's two sides to this corporation. You got your legitimate side, which would be the scholars that come to America to build this place up. Then you got what goes on behind closed doors. You know, people coming over here, having their organs snatched out, being sold into child sex trafficking to help fund America. Because America take all these illegal people and sell them for multiple reasons. So again, Title 42 being lifted, that's allowing all these so-called illegal immigrants to come over here, which this is really their land. That's a tactic that Esau using to gather all nations unto him and to heap unto him all people. You know, Esau making it seem to be a crisis at the border, like he's trying to fight those people from coming over here. But Esau need those people to help fund America, which is a big corporation. And that's going to bring us to Hosea chapter 9, verse 13. Ephraim. Now, who is Ephraim? Ephraim will be one of the tribes of the children of Israel. But a lot of times we will see Ephraim, and that represents the entire northern kingdom, the Native Americans, Hispanics, and so-called Seminole Indians. Just like Judah represents the southern kingdom, represents the so-called black Israelites. But Ephraim, which should be these 9 tribes, as I saw Tyrus, is planted in a pleasant place. Now I believe this pleasant place will be South Central America as well as Mexico. You know, that's where they ended up at. But Ephraim, the northern kingdom, shall bring forth his children to the murderer. So yeah, under Title 42 expiring, and they all trying to cross the border to come to America, what is that? That's Ephraim, but really the entire northern kingdom doing what? Bringing his children to the murderer. And who is that murderer? Esau, the so-called white man. And let's show that this is the murderer that's being talked about real quick. Well, John 8 and 44, ye are of your father the devil, and the lust of your father ye will do. He was a murderer from the beginning. But hold up, was it the devil, Satan, the murderer from the beginning? Or was it Cain that was the murderer from the beginning? We know it was Cain. In the boat, not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speak of a lie, he speak of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it. So back on the focus here, he was a murderer from the beginning. That was Cain. Well, when you go into Hebrew and look at Cain's name in the Hebrew, what does Cain mean in the Hebrew? Cain means spear, and you know a spear is a form of a sword. That's why now we see spear popped up. That's what Cain means in the Hebrew. And we know a spear is a form of a sword. Well, what was Esau's blessing? His blessing was a sword. And who is Esau? Esau is Cain in a regeneration. So that murderer from the beginning was Cain. His name means spear. Cain was brought back in a regeneration, what the world calls reincarnation, as Esau. And Esau's blessing was a sword or a spear. And Esau said unto his father, hast thou but one blessing for me, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father. Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth and of the dew of heaven. And by thy sword shalt thou live. So Esau's blessing was the sword. He's that same murderer from the beginning who was Cain, which Cain, again, means spear, and a spear is just a different version of a sword, which is Esau's blessing. By thy sword shalt thou live, and thou shalt serve thy brother. It shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then I will slay my brother Jacob. So Esau, the so-called white man, wanted to slay his brother Jacob, who would be the father of the children of Israel. So Ephraim bringing his children to the murderer, he bringing his children to Esau, the so-called white man, who was actually Cain, that murderer from the beginning. And Ephraim bringing his children over here, that's what? That's Esau killing Jacob. You know, Esau was mad that Jacob got the birthright and a blessing. So Title 42, Ephraim bringing his children to the murderer, this is just Esau getting his lick back on Jacob. Now let's go back to Hosea chapter 9. We're going to get verse 16. Ephraim is smitten. Yeah, because Ephraim, the whole northern kingdom, they suffering the curses just like we are. They plagued with mental illness, diseases, drugs in the community, so-called Mexican on Mexican crime, you know, the cartels and all that. Their root is dried up. They shall bear no fruit. Yet though they bring forth, they will I slay even the beloved of the fruit of their womb. So let me read that again. Though they bring forth, yet will I slay even the beloved fruit of their womb. So yeah, even though they bring forth children, the Lord is going to slay them. And how is the Lord going to slay them? Well, he's going to slay them with the murderer, who is Esau, the so-called white man. And how is Esau, the murderer, going to slay them? All kind of ways. Well, we saw the video. They got wristbands that are pretty much price tags, you know, on how much money they owe to the cartel. And that's what they're going to be sold for and used for as a sex slave until that debt to that price tag is paid off. They're going to be sold to local cartel gangs. They also going to be sold to these weirdo Edomites as sex slaves. And then what else is Esau doing? Well, Esau going to be turning them into ground beef because we know it's not that many cows in the world to make all these tacos and hamburgers from all these chain fast food restaurants. So they're going to turn the people to cow beef. Esau going to be doing experiments on them, experimenting on the people, snatching out their organs. They're going to be used in child sacrifice, drinking their blood. We know they're going to be roasting the people, you know, like a Thanksgiving turkey, eating them. You know, Esau going to be doing all kind of things to them. Not to mention, we at the end. So what else Esau going to be doing? Microchipping them, giving them the mark of the beast. So again, though they bring forth, yet will I slay even the beloved fruit of their womb. So the Lord is going to slay them using a murderer whose blessing was the sword. In the beginning, he was Cain. Cain means spear or sword. Esau's blessing was a sword. So Zechariah 11:5, whose possessors slay them. Yeah, who is our possessors? Esau, the so-called white man. When they cross the border and they fill out all that paperwork, they pretty much selling themselves as property. That's why they say they had sponsors, which would be pretty much people who would look after these people and pretty much get them what they need in America. They say they had sponsors trying to get more people by what? By using different addresses that the sponsors will go to multiple border sites trying to get more people. Because as a sponsor, you can only get so many people. You know, that's how you know Esau is a fraud and a criminal, using multiple addresses and going to multiple sites. That's the equivalent of you trying to get some extra coupons. So you filling out an application with the same name, but using different addresses, calling up people like, hey, can I use your address? You know, pretty much a scam. You know, Esau is the ultimate scammer. And then when those people fill out those applications, fill out all that paperwork, or if it be done electronically, they pretty much selling themselves to Esau, the so-called white man. They're going to get a number. They're going to get a tag. They're going to be given a wristband, you know. And these sponsors, they make money off these people. Hey, just like here in America, foster care, they make money from how many children they get. It's no different than the people that's crossing the border to come over here. These sponsors get money. So whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty? Yeah, because they can kill us all day and they get let go free. And they that sell them say, blessed be the Lord, for I am rich. Yeah, because our possessors, the murderer, the so-called white man, rather they get us from foster care, or rather they get us from the border. Our possessors, they're gonna kill us. They're gonna be let go free, but also they sell us. Sell us into what? Sell us into child sex trafficking, women's sex trafficking, selling us to Esau, the so-called white man, so that he can drink our blood, take our organs, turn us to ground beef, experiment on us. So whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty, and they, our possessors that sell them, sell us, say, blessed be the Lord, for I am rich, and their own shepherds pity them not. So they benefit greatly from all these so-called illegal immigrants coming over here. You know, Esau need to stop playing and act like he not getting rich off our people. Because like I say, America's a corporation. You got the legitimate side that actually run these businesses, and, you know, your physicists, your physicians, and all that. But you got your dirty business in the streets that fund this place. And really, the corporations you see here, that's all the front. Where you think they getting all that money from? You know, besides the U.S. tax dollars. You know, the U.S. don't make enough tax money to fund all the stuff that really go on here in America. They science, they military, and all that stuff. What go on in the Senate? Well, they really making it from off our people, because our possessors, who is the murderer, they gonna slay us and sell us. They gonna make money off our labor. What's our labor? Well, being a sex slave, that's labor. They gonna make money off that. They gonna make money off our blood, because it got that adrenochrome in it. And they gonna make money off our organs. And they gonna make money for selling us as pretty much for experimentation. Also too, Hosea 9:17. My God will cast them away, because they did not hearken unto him. And who is this talking about? We talking about Ephraim. We talking about Ephraim, specifically the northern kingdom, in his lesson. So back to verse 17. My God will cast them away, because they did not hearken unto him. And they shall be wanderers among the nation. What's a wanderer? Somebody that's going from place to place. Because we know the northern kingdom was taken out of Israel by Assyria. Then we know in 2nd Ezra, the 13th chapter, the northern kingdom used those same slave ships, and they reached the Americas, where they were supposed to have a fresh start, but they still effed up. Now the Lord dealing with them. And now they reached a pleasant place. Going back up to verse 13. Ephraim, as I saw, Tyrus is planted in a pleasant place. So they reached a nice land when they got here. Hey, but the Lord, the Lord is plaguing them with these curses. So now they trying to do what? They wandering once more. They wandered all the way over here to South Central America, including Mexico. But now they wandering to the U.S. Fell back down to verse 17, and they should be wanderers among the nations. Well, what they doing? They wandering themselves right over here to America, giving their children to the murderer. That's why 2nd Ezra 15:10, behold, my people is led as a flock to the slaughter. Yeah, because America is what? It's that big sacrificial altar. Behold, my people is led as a flock to the slaughter. This is the people being led as a flock to the slaughter. Esau putting bait out there. You want to seek shelter, refuge? You want to be safe from cartel gangs? Come over here to America. But secretly, Esau the murderer will be killing these people. Behold, my people is led as a flock to the slaughter. I will not suffer them now to dwell in the land of Egypt. So the Lord gonna spring into action and bring this place down. But the people coming over here to the murderer is a necessary thing, because they coming over here for judgment. You know, whatever happens to them, they coming over here for judgment. Not to mention, a lot of these homeless shelters, the Salvation Army, And a lot of these places, they be taking in these people and taking in people from foster care. They be killing them people, which we know whose possessors slay them or hold themselves not guilty. That's why this video right here, they said 85,000 children went missing. Let's play it.
Under the Biden presidency, the agency cannot find 85,000 children, and that the agency lost contact with the third of the migrant children.
So they lost 85 children, and a third of the migrant children they can no longer find anyway. So that's just what's reported. It's really millions of foster care children, millions of so-called illegal immigrants that went missing. And then ultimately, we're going to get Revelation 2 and 10. Fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison. Who's the devil? Who's the murderer? Who's our possessor? Our slayer? The so-called white man. So these people really coming over here going into prison. They going to these holding facilities, which I believe them holding facilities is really just them FEMA death camps. So that FEMA death camp is a prison. If they sold in the child sex trafficking, that's a prison. A prison don't mean you in one spot behind bars. Prison mean that you being held captive, being moved from place to place, being forced to do things against your will. A prison can be mobile. So them going from facility to bus to another facility, they still in prison. Not to mention, ultimately, they're going to be in these FEMA death camps to be microchipped. That's why the next part says that ye may be tried, meaning be tested, and you shall have tribulation 10 days. Be tested for what? They be trying to force that microchip on you. Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life. This is to the elect. You know, don't fear none of those things. What's going to happen? Such as us being thrown into prison and having that tribulation during the hour of temptation. That's for the elect to know. Well, everybody that's coming over here for judgment, they going to fail this hour of temptation. They're going to be tried in prison. They're going to fail. They're not going to understand English. They're not going to understand what Esau the white man is doing. They're going to be microchipped as unawares. You know, so Title 42, Esau making it seem like it's a crisis. It's a border crisis. That's just another reason to lock down Texas. He need all those people come over here to fund America. Not to mention, the Lord got them coming over here for judgment. That's why we open up with the scripture that Ephraim shall bring his children to the murderer. So that's it for this lesson here. Till next time. Shalom.